Welcome to another week here at Wired Differently. I am Christina Blue Hooper, your resident business designer. I have with me today Victoria Caldwell, our fractional COO and expert at all things people systems for entrepreneurs, and Mindset Melanie Branch, the mindset expert that managed to fix my entrepreneurial brain so that I could get stuff done. So that's saying something, right? All right, we are diving into our topic this week that I think is a really good one. It's what to do when your marketing isn't working. And I think when people are asking this question, what they really mean is, how do I get people to buy my stuff because I'm not making enough money? Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the heart of that question. When people are asking marketing problems, at least in my experience, when they ask marketing questions, there's usually something else going on inside the
Yeah.
business or with the entrepreneur in their personal life, things along those lines. Because if everything's working as it should, marketing usually tends to just kind of work, as weird as that is, right? So I'm going to tap in. Who do I tap in first? Let's tap in Victoria to give some insights on this one, because she's had, as many years in marketing as I have, which is too many. We're not going to throw ourselves under the bus age-wise today.
I could write a book on this whole topic, but, this is only an hour-long show, so let's get to it. So I can tell it. One, the question is, why is it not working? Why is it not working? And what I've seen is either you have something that the market doesn't want, you have something that the market doesn't want to buy. They might acknowledge that it is something that is needed, but they don't want it.
Ooh, that is a good point. Because I know we have all seen people that have been like, well, I've talked to so-and-so and so-and-so, and I've talked to like 20, 30 people, and they all say that they want it. But then when it comes time to put money down, it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, they don't like you. Are you talking to people? Because it's a supply and demand issue. Do they have a demand? Is there a demand, a buying demand for what you are selling? Now that comes up too in a way. A lot of times with the creatives, they got something that they want to sell because they know it's just this great, but it's not necessarily something that the market wants to buy. The other thing is, how are you articulating how this is going to help them? And so maybe it's something that you create. Maybe it is something that there's a demand for, but you're not articulating it in the way that they need to see that this is something that I want to buy. So there's a disconnect in the messaging. So one, do they want it? Because most entrepreneurs start off by creating a product without testing whether or not the market there's a buying market for that a demand for that. Mm-hmm. And then as you get further along, we all talk about the customer journey and the different areas of customer journey. If you're mapping out each area of that, what I talked about earlier was the earlier stages. If no one is buying it, then you're probably not even getting this far, right? But if you're looking at the entire customer journey from where they become aware that you exist and you have something that they can buy and that they need, then maybe it's something in that journey that is stopping them. Maybe you do have a great product, but you're not articulating, you're not talking about it, or you're not talking to the right market.
That's a good point too. I know a lot of times when people are telling me their marketing isn't working, what I find is there's a business design problem or a business alignment problem, right? Like the entrepreneur doesn't fully love what they're doing. We hear that a lot. I don't love my business. I hate my business. It's making I don't like working this much. I don't like working for these people. We hear so many versions of that. I'm bored with it. I don't like doing this anymore. And when you're sitting here, even if you force yourself to sit and market, to create content, to do sales calls, if in the back of your mind, I don't like this and I really hope they don't buy it, you're putting that energy out. It's coming out in your videos. It's coming out in your sales calls. So I want to tap Melanie just to scooch on this because it's a mindset issue, right? Why in the hell do people spend so much time trying to push products that they don't even like anymore. Like, why is this even happening?
You know, it's the sunk cost fallacy. We think, oh, I've done this for so long, I can't give up on it. It has to work. But we also have to think about what avenues and platforms are you utilizing? You can't go on TikTok and create a carousel picture post, which are performing really well right now. Instagram and TikTok, guys, start carousel posting and watch your views go up and your account grow. But if you're just posting about your workshop, buy my shit, those platforms aren't there for that. You're building your personal brand, you're building your connection, you're building your community on social media. Then you got to get them somewhere else to sell to them, right? I tell every one of my clients and every student at the academy, sales happen in emails. So everything you're doing in your marketing needs to be value driven, needs to be activating. You're not trying to, I see people go on LinkedIn and say, hey, I have this course coming out, or hey, I have this thing happening, click this link. You think LinkedIn really wants you to use their platform like that? You think they're going to push your shit if you're just trying to sell? We're not in advertising, right? Unless you're doing paid ads on social media, that's a different, ballpark. But even a good paid ad came from an organic post that performed well. So what are we doing with our marketing? Really, what is it that we want to do? And if you don't like your business and you don't like what you're selling and you don't like your clients, your marketing's not the problem. How many times do we see that? People are like, oh, it's my messaging. Oh, it's my branding. Oh, I don't have the right colors. Oh, I need to spend more money and get a new logo and have my logo be all over my social media so that people can identify with text instead of my face, right? Like, what are we doing here? There's a reason why we get road rage instead of grocery store rage, right? You don't want to fight somebody at the grocery store. Well, you know what I mean. But you want to fight somebody who's getting in your way on the road. And the reason is because you're not looking at a face. We connect as humans with stories. We don't connect with a brand.
Now,
so you really got to think about
avoid that though. Like, why do they hide behind just salesy promo content instead of why are they afraid to be themselves? I know you've really been working with people pretty closely in your programs, as well as even your 2 picture a day, Instagram group. How, what is coming up? What's the fear preventing people from getting out there?
We think it's the fear of being seen. It's not the fear of being seen. It's the fear of being ridiculed and criticized. Because I don't know about you, but how many of you grew up with family and caretakers that never complimented you on anything? Even if you came home with straight A's, I would hear, well, were they A pluses? If I came home with an A minus, why wasn't it an A plus? If I came home with a B, I had to explain it, right? So if you grew up with people that were nitpicky and refused to shine a light on all of your wonderful qualities, you are leading with, I am so afraid that I'm going to make it. This just happened in a new kickoff call for a 4-week CEO makeover client the other day. She has 6 certifications on her wall of varying reasons, right? She's an energy worker. She does all sorts of really cool shit. She works in massage. She's incredible. She is somebody that I would go to for knowledge and somatic practices. And if you guys know me, you know that I don't really learn a lot in a lot of conversations because all I do is research all day long. If you need me, I'll be in a rabbit hole. But I would go to her for information in her expertise. And when I started talking to her about content, I said, what's the problem? Why can't you just put text on screen with you doing a massage on somebody? She said, because I just think somebody's going to come in here and tell me that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I think somebody's going to tell me that I need more certifications. And I said, if somebody chooses to troll you in your social media and tells you to prove yourself, they are committed to misunderstanding you. And that's not who we're talking about. I think if everybody remembers, especially with social media marketing, you're creating content for that dream ideal client. You're not creating content to convert somebody who's of a totally different belief system than you to believe that you're good at what you're doing. You are trying to create content to create change in that person who knows that you're the one that can help them change.
Yeah, you're not going to knowledge yourself out of this. I mean, I have over 50 different certifications and 18 years of experience. I still experience that fear. Right? You're not going to expert yourself out of that fear. It doesn't go away. Right? So you need another mechanism, another way to get yourself through it, because hiding behind more certifications, more knowledge, more experience, more case studies, it's not going to make that fear go away.
It's not. And here's the thing. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
don't
We
care
celebrate
how much
trolls.
experience you have. Some troll is going to come in and say, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to happen. I don't care if you know everything on this, which no one does. You said it so perfectly, Melanie. You're creating content for your ideal dream client. If they don't think you know what you're talking about, move on. Don't even acknowledge them. But somebody is going to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to say
Celebrate
it.
that you
And
said
it's not going to be,
something
it's
that
not about you. It's about them. Maybe you're stepping on toes that they have issues with. And their attacking of you has nothing to do with you. It's their own insecurities. It's their own things that they're not addressing or willing to address that. And sometimes they do it just to poach your audience.
yeah.
They do
Yeah.
it just to poach your audience because they want to turn. It ain't even about you. It's about
Yeah.
them saying, hey, I don't have the skills to build my own audience. So I'm going to go over here and mess with their people and then try to bring them over, which is
It's the
not.
same people that do cold DMs in 2024. Do you know how many people in the past 10 days have reached out to me in very sneaky ways on Instagram? Because I always tell people on TikTok when I'm live, DM me on Instagram. Don't DM me on TikTok. It's just a different mindset, right? And I have had 5 people in the past 10 days reach out to me. One even said, hey, are you active in the DMs? And I said, depends on what for. And she was like, and sent me a video and she goes, I'm not even going to lie. I want to sell you on my copywriting services. La, 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 la. Like it was like a FaceTime message. And I have just taken to message everybody. And I say, I don't work with people that do cold DMs. Please take me off your list. Have a great day.
Yep. Like I even use like you'll see on my LinkedIn because I get so many like emails and cold DMs from LinkedIn that are like robot, automatic, somebody's not really paying attention. I have an emoji in my name on LinkedIn. If I see that emoji in a message, I know for a fact you weren't paying attention, you scraped my information, and you're just spamming me. Right.
Yeah.
So as soon as I see that little emoji, I'm like, peace out. Bye.
Delete.
Done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's like they didn't even take the half a second to just look at who they're contacting. Right. So I know we're kind of maybe a little scoochy off topic with some of that, but like look at how people respond to cold DMs. Look at how we feel about it. Right. It's not that cold DMs won't work. There are strategies to do cold DMing, but you have to lead with connection. You have to lead with a desire to actually talk to this human, meaning you have to know them well enough to know you want to talk to them. You have to spend like even 10, 15, 20 minutes digging into them and being like, I think this is somebody I want to get to know a little bit better. Right. And approach it that way. I was looking into you and I think you're somebody I would like to get to know a little bit better. Can you tell me a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah.
Somebody give me that DM, I'm going to be like, okay,
Yeah,
that's different.
that's a different kind of DM. Because most of the ones, if you're doing this dumb stuff, then you're going to get those kind of results.
Yeah. It's like, that's why we talk about, like, I didn't teach this inside the academy. So if anybody's not joined yet, we do have the free trial turned back on now. So you can come in for 2 weeks for free. Ha! Woo, I got to fix some of the messaging. It's not all over the place and super obvious. But if you go to the join page and you go like you're going to sign up, you'll see it. It's there, 2 weeks free. But I teach collaborative content as one of the strategies to use for marketing because it's genuinely building and getting to know another human and creating something together in that knowledge process, right? So it's a great icebreaker. It's a way to reach out to people and be like, hey, I am writing a series of blog articles about XYZ. You look really knowledgeable in X topic. I would love an opportunity to like get some insights from you. Is that something you would be open to, right? Or I have a podcast I'd like to invite you on as a guest, or I would like to, do a live show and have you on as a guest. We have Qasim Islam coming on as a guest next week. Woo! Excited about that one and introducing him to all of you guys. It's going to be good stuff. So super pumped about that. But that's collaborative content, right? You're working with another human to produce content that is mutually beneficial to both of your audiences. You're getting to know somebody. If you do it right, that somebody is a potential client or a potential referral partner, right? So you can grow your business that way. So I know this is something that I talk about a lot, and I'm going to let my partners weigh in on this too. You don't need a big marketing machine if you can't handle 10 clients this week.
Yep.
If 10 new clients coming in this week would blow you up, you don't need a big marketing machine. Now, let's define that a scooch. Like, Melanie, what are some of the things you do to get clients?
I consider every act of social media as community building and relationship building. So I make sure that I am active on certain people. But remember, I have the added advantage of my spirit team telling me just about every single person I'm ever going to work with. They never tell me the timeline, which, okay, fine, whatever. But I know I've only ever worked with one person that came out of nowhere. She came off my email list. I didn't know she was tracking me, but everybody else I know I was going to work with. So I really just pay attention to making content that activates those people, makes them feel seen, heard, understood, and validated. And I've really been pulling on nostalgia a lot lately too, because we're all getting to a certain age where it's like, really, was that 20 years ago? Holy shit. So that's just a really good emotion to activate.
Yep.
But I just make content that I know would benefit them and does benefit them. And then I like to be really active in stories on Instagram and TikTok and encourage people to answer questions. Because if somebody answers your quiz on Instagram, you can message him about that answer and you can get more information. So I really just think about, who do I want to work with? How can I build a relationship? I was the kid in elementary school that would just go to the new kid's house that moved into the neighborhood and knock on the door and say, can you come play? Right. So striking up conversations has never been a problem for me. So I just go with it.
You know,
and I love what we didn't hear in that was paid ads. And we didn't hear big elaborate funnels. You literally just built your first semi-quasi elaborate funnel. For those of us who are in marketing, this is not, it's thorough. It's not super elaborate, right? The quiz isn't built in like a quiz funnel builder. It's literally Canva slides, magazine style, answer some questions, total up. If you got mostly A's, it's this, mostly B's, it's this. And I love the simplicity, right?
Yeah.
If it works well, we'll build it out. We'll add some more tech. We'll make it a little bit more refined. Well, whatever. But like, you've been in business for over 2 years. You've been able to leave your job and do this full time. Oh, 3 years now. Oh, sorry. 3 years. I got to relog it in my brain. Right. And at this point, you still are just now launching your first big funnel and you're not running paid ads.
Yeah.
Right. That's what that's what I'm talking about when I say like, we're not building a big marketing machine. If you can't take 10 new clients in a week and be able to handle it, right? Like, Victoria, what are your thoughts on that?
On the same thought, sorry, are you willing, and we keep hammering this topic, and Melanie just tapped, are you willing to talk to the humans that you want to serve?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've literally been talking about that this morning, about the different humans you could go talk to.
This problem shows up in marketing. We were talking about it just over the last couple of days, and it shows up everywhere in the business, because if you don't want to talk to your customers before they become customers, you're not going to want to talk to them after. You're not going to want to talk to, when they have issues, when they have problems, they don't want to people. But they want people to buy, but they don't want to actually people. And that creates a lot of issues, because now you're resisting going out and talking to them, because what Melanie just said requires peopling. They were like, wait a minute, that is going to require that I get engagement. I ask them to DM me and I'm going to have to respond. Not doing it. But do you deserve to be in business? And here's my stand on it. If you don't want to talk to and serve the people, you don't deserve their business. Period. You don't deserve to be the one that they choose if you don't even want to talk to them. Or you don't want to deal with them. You don't want to serve them. You want them to serve you.
And we've all had that experience. I mean, imagine when you're shopping for a car. Is that person out there to serve you? Most of the time, is your car salesman out to serve you? No, they're out to make a commission. And we can tell, and we know that, right? If we're in the store and we're asking customer service for a little bit of help or support with something, and that person just doesn't want to be here that day, We can tell. You're going through a fast food window and somebody's taking your order and you have a question or two, you can tell. You can tell if that person doesn't want your business, right? And if that happens enough times, you're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Right? You'll give them maybe one off day, but you're going to quit coming if somebody's not interested in talking to you. And how are we supposed to serve somebody at the highest level, right? Our job as entrepreneurs is to move someone forward faster, easier, and or more successfully than they could go without us, right? And I don't care if we're talking a simple, stupid product, like maybe a basic little highlighter, maybe you sell pins, maybe you have coaching services. I don't care what it is. If this highlighter doesn't move myself forward in some way and make my life easier, more successful, you did a bad job, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if it's a physical product, a service, or whatever. It matters more in a service, I would say, than a simple product. I will say that, but it still matters, right?
Yeah.
It still matters. So I think, like, just recapping a couple things that we've said, if your marketing isn't working, it may be because you're not talking to people, so you don't have their words, right? It may be because you're out of love with your business and you have a business design problem and you need to go back to the drawing board and kind of take a look at what are we selling? Why are we selling it? Why am I even doing this? Maybe I don't even need to be. Maybe I need to go get a job. Maybe I'm not, an entrepreneur isn't what I'm good at, right? This isn't where I need to be. Whatever it is, like taking a look at some of those things first. And then I know Victoria kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, but being able to actually know if something is working or not, right? So like when we say like what to do when our marketing isn't working, if you've been putting out videos for like a week and you're not selling anything, that is not an indicator that it's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So Victoria, you want to hop on that soapbox for just half a second?
Talk
Vanity
about
magic.
how many touches it takes before somebody even exchanges their email for your freebie. Talk about how many touches it takes, because that shit's nuts.
And I think that's a key indication. People don't understand how many touch points it's going to take to, like you say, even for someone to give your email list. But let's say you don't even have that set up, just to give you money. Like if we don't have it's like what, 22, 23?
Something like that. It's like 7 hours on.
It's 7 hours of content across 11 touch points across 4 channels. Now, they just made that pretty much easier to digest, right?
Yeah.
But before they would say it would take like 22, 23 touch points. And that was pretty vague because they're like, what does that mean? So then they break it down, 7 hours of content, 11 interactions. If you don't know what touch point means, interactions can be on social media. Interactions could be email. Interactions could be social media comments and DMs and all of those are all interactions.
Website visits, those are interactions. Whether they opt in or buy or not, visiting your website is an interaction. Some people even count every page they visit as an interaction because that shows that they're navigating the site and they're getting to know, right? So
and
every
people
page
who are interested are going to research you. Mm-hmm. They're going to go to your social channels, because if you ain't got one and you're talking about social media marketing, but you got no social media, that's going to be
the number of people that put out posts talking about how valuable video is and don't have a video on the post blows my mind. Blog articles, social posts, they're like, you must have video. And I'm like, there's no video here. So maybe you don't.
Or they cold DM you and say, we can make your Instagram so much better, so much more reach. And they don't even have a page.
Yeah.
But this is now their strategy is what they're doing to you. And you're like, and I'm always amazed at people who take them up on their offer because they have to really be desperate, because I'm like, you realize that the strategy that they're using is their strategy, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to cold DM you and tell you about another strategy, because if it was that great, they would be doing it.
And I hope people, especially marketing agencies in the audience right now, are listening, because guilty. I wasn't doing my own marketing for years, right? The same thing I sold to clients was not how I got my business. And people notice and they look and they see and they're like, you're saying that blogging is so important. You haven't blogged in 6 months, a year. You saying video is so important. You haven't posted a video in a year. You're saying social media is so important. You haven't updated your social media in a year. You know what I mean? Like, they're watching. They're watching.
Yeah.
They're seeing what you do, and if you're drinking your own Kool-Aid or not. And there's only so far that excuse, I'm like the mechanic with my own car.
Yeah,
It's only so far that
it's only so far that can go. And and these are 3 objections you have to overcome. The first objection is going to be in all of this. Some of them you deal with, in social, and some of them you're going to deal with when you get closer to, sales calls and interactions. One, they don't believe you. So that's the first hurdle. Why would not they believe you? Is there a disconnect, misalignment between what you're saying and what you're doing? Number 2, they don't believe in your system. They don't know, but they're researching, they're checking all of these things out, but you don't know they're doing all of this behind the scenes. And by the time they reached out to you, they've probably already, and then the third thing they have to overcome is they don't believe in themselves. That's the biggest hurdle to overcome. But if you can't get through 1 and 2, you can forget to get into 3, because they've already turned you off. Because the first thing is, if they don't believe you, that's external. They can shut that down quickly.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing.
And they can buy without fully being like invested on all 3 of those, right? So like believing in you, believing in the solution, and believing in themselves, they don't get to 100% belief before they buy. And I think that is so important for people to understand, because like they get better. Let's say they get to 50%. Your job in onboarding that new client is to get them as close to 100% belief as possible in all 3 of those areas. Because if you don't, they're going to be constantly doubting. They're going to be sitting here going like, well, this might work, but it's probably not going to work for me. Well, this might work, but I'm not sure if that system is going to do what I need it to do, or that solution is going to do what I need it to do, or I'm not entirely convinced you can help me. Right? I call this the triage phase when I'm teaching people like client success planning. It's that point where you still have work to do. You still have damage control to do. You still have to stop the bleeding of trust that's happening to get someone fully invested. Otherwise, they just won't do the things they need to do.
Yeah.
We have that issue with students. Like, they'll sign on and we're like, here's the things you need to do. And they're like, okay, but I want to go do these things. Like, we still haven't fully gotten that belief switch that like, okay, we're going to slow down before we can speed up. We're going to slow down and we're going to go work on these things. And then we can speed back up. But I want to go fast now. That's why I signed up. I get that. But we got to slow down. Right. So you kind of have to work on.
I used a really good analogy the other day about how we help build businesses and help them grow and whatnot. And it was because I've been watching a lot of New York real estate shows. I'm not going to lie. Ryan Serhant might be my new special love interest. I might be trading in any other famous guy that I like for this guy. Anyways, I like ambition. I like gray hair. But we're getting off track. When you're building a skyscraper in New York City, they're not rushing. They're not working furiously all day, every day to like put everything, because you got to do it the right way or people can get hurt. And long term, if you are building a legacy from your business or businesses, why are you rushing? You need a good, strong foundation. You need a solid plan. You need a great framework. You need the blueprints. You need all of those things. And you have to fall in love with the process, because you're not going to wake up tomorrow as the person that can run $1 million a year business. You have to get yourself to that point. So, if you are working on one fun thing and one boring thing at the same time, which is what we really like to teach as well, and it's part of my course routines at work. When you wake up and you're having all this energy and you want to work on the fun thing, you have a productive, fun thing to work on. When you wake up and you're not feeling as creative and you just have to get to your computer and punch some shit out, do the boring stuff. But if you're going to completely avoid the pathway that we lay out for you at the Neuro-Spicy Academy and say, well, today I just decided to make short form video that I'm probably going to just leave in my drafts and never post. And it's like, oh, okay, so you didn't work on your launch at all? Oh, okay. So you didn't work on your client avatar and okay, great. So what is it that we're going to make money from?
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing how many people can't answer that question. I am frequently astounded by that. When we say, like, how is it you're planning to make money? How are you going to, like, what's your financial goal by the end of the year? Cool. How do you plan on hitting that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels like the first
It's
problem to
really
solve.
just sitting them down and really asking them those questions. Or, oh, I had a client tell me years ago, and I asked this question. I said, why should someone buy? And I'm trying to figure out what their unique positioning is. What is it
Yeah.
that they have? Now, this is not a small operation. You know, they've been in a, you know. And I said, why would a client buy from you? Why should a client buy from you versus a competitor? They didn't know how to answer it.
Yeah.
I said, if you don't know how to answer that question, how do you expect your customers to be able to make a decision?
Yeah.
Can I grab
You
a
can't
soapbox real
tell
quick? 'Cause you
me.
just brought up a good one. Competitors.
And they
Oh,
think
I
the
could stand on that
competitor.
soapbox for hours talking about competitors. We
Uh,
sit here and we watch other people doing things and we're like, "Oh, I like that. I'm going to do that. I like that. I'm going to do that. I like that. I'm going to do that." They're such a big company. It must be working for them, right? If I copy it, it'll work for me. No, it doesn't work that way. We don't even know that it's working. You see somebody else doing something, you don't know that it's working, right? This could be an experiment they're running. This could be something that they're testing out. This could be something that they're doing that's completely out in left field, something they've never done before because they want to see if it's going to get a reaction. There are people running ads to products that don't even exist because they're testing out the title for something to see if people will buy it later when they turn it into a course, right? There is all this stuff going on that you have no idea. You see a company with 100 job postings, you think they must be growing really good. Have y'all heard about ghost job postings? Not even a real job. They're just posting it out there. The most freaking insane thing. I really feel so sorry for people trying to apply for jobs right now. It is freaking nuts. But when you're looking at your competitors, you don't know if it's working. You don't know what they're doing. And they're not freaking you. They're not you. They're not going to enjoy the same things you do. Their clients are not going to want the same things yours do. Their clients aren't going to you for the same things that they're going to them for, right? Even if you're in the same industry, you are not a one-on-one competitor with damn near anybody because nobody else is solving the same problem in the same way that you would for the same type of people with the same attitude and values. And like, you don't have a direct competitor. So quit trying to steal from everybody else. All right, I'll hop off my soapbox real quick.
You know, you brought up another client that did this when I was in the agency space. And for all the LinkedIn people, I don't know how many times I got to say I'm not an agency. Well, I don't say it because if you think I'm an agency, I just ignore you anyway. But it's amazing how many. Anywho, I digress. He came to me one time. He said, I want to spend $25,000 next month in PPC ads. And I said, why? And he said, because my competitors are doing it. I said, and?
Like, can you just give that to me? It'll be just as effective. I'll just go deposit it in my bank account. We'll just sit here and watch nothing happen.
Well, what was so interesting about there, I said, they're spending, I don't know how he gathered this information, but he I mean, logically thought they're spending it. It must be working because they're doing it. Therefore, I should do it too. So I went and looked at his PPC. His PPC was so bad that Google was giving it, he was paying $50 per click.
Ooh.
Click, which the clicks in their field, in their niche, were very expensive clicks, but he was paying 3 to 4 times as much as he should have been. And I said, Google is penalizing you for having such a poor connection between your ad and what's on your ads. I said, so your quality score is what's causing your clicks to be, and they were still making money at that. Go figure. And we ran the thing, got his things up to where he was spending $10K a month and killing it. Killing it. Got his clicks down to about $13, $14 per click. Again, very good in his niche. And then he did a dumb, as you would say, Christina. He did a dumb with everybody else. Oh, well, now you got my things working. I'm going to go ahead and manage it myself. I said, don't do it. I said, because I said, I'm going to let you know that what we did required skill and everything. And if you don't know how to, because they make it so simple, it's simple to
It's not
set
easy.
up, but it's not easy.
Yeah, and that is so many things right now. That statement can be applied to paid ads, especially now that we have AI that can help you run ads. There's tons of ads built by AI to help you buy AI to run ads. Well, that's
Suck
a
your
brain
money
twister.
so fast.
Yeah,
But
website
you don't
builders,
know.
email templates. You can go buy these kits on Etsy. You can buy these kits from, people that make like Canva kits with these really well-designed emails that are like, do these. They look beautiful. They're high converting. There's so many things now to help you do things that you have no business doing.
Right.
You have no knowledge, no skill, no whatever. Now, if you go into it knowing that, like, I don't have the budget for it, I'm going to have to do it myself. I'm going to have to do my best, and we're just going to have to get her done. Cool. If you go into that thinking that you're going to get the same result as the expert that you should have hired to do it, that's where it's a problem.
Get some training at the very least. Get some training on doing it. Don't think you're just going to say, oh, well, you're going to follow the Google prompts and the Facebook prompts. Okay, now do this. Okay, now do this. Oh, okay, it's up and running and testing it. So he did that. A month later, I said, if you don't do this thing right, you're going to lose all of the momentum that we created and your clicks are going to go back. He didn't listen.
Yeah.
A month later, which is faster than I expected it to happen, actually.
I usually give people at least 60 to 90 days for whatever they did to break everything.
A month later, he was like, my ads are back up to $50 a click and all that. I said, what did you do? And he was like, well, I just did this. I said, now I told you not to do that. Well, at this time, he don't want to hear what I said because it's like, well, how do I do it? Well, now I got to charge you more because now I got to fix the issues that you broke.
Yeah, the ID10T tax.
Nobody wants to pay. And I said, I'm not doing it. I said, because you want me to do more work for the same amount of money that I was doing. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then
he will pay that. Anybody who is knowledgeable and an expert at what they do, they will charge you the ID10T tax when you go do something stupid. Right. So any of us
especially if you warn them ahead of time not to do
idiot tax, right? Like you go sabotage something, you go break something, we're going to have to bill you for the extra time, effort, and stress that you cause just by not listening, right? You're going to encounter that. Yeah. Anybody who actually knows what they're doing is going to charge you that fee because they know what they're doing. And if they don't charge you that fee, you're more likely to do it again. Right. And you're just causing more trouble for yourself, for them. You're setting everything back. So just be prepared for that. Now, let's look at maybe why somebody would not delegate effectively. Like what's going on in like the mindset, Melanie, when somebody knows that they're not the expert in doing a thing. They know they got to do it anyway. They have the money to hire someone else, right? But they just choose not to. What's going on with this? Why don't people listen to the experts that they bring in?
They don't trust themselves, so they're not able to delegate and believe anybody else can do it. It runs deep. It hurts. The reason people avoid mindset for so long is because there's accountability that has to go along with the mindset. But if you don't trust yourself, how in the hell would you trust anybody else?
Well, that was a mind slap. That wasn't where I was expecting you to go with that, but I like it.
About it in that way, in terms, because we talk about this topic, but
especially if you've hired people in the past and it didn't work out. Right. Maybe you try.
We see that with coaching all the time. You see that with coaching all the time. I talk about my client who I wanted to sign up for a $4,500 program I was running at the time. And she had, in the past 12 months before we had started talking, gotten out of had completed a $30,000 coaching program that she didn't get anything from. And that hurts. That causes a wound. That's a deep, vulnerable, fear-filled hole in your heart and your being that says, I was told to invest in myself and I didn't get anything from it. And now I don't feel like investing in myself and my development is ever going to do anything good. Like, of course you lose trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to remember too, now, but since we're on the subject of marketing, in the coaching world, there are a bunch of coaches who are really fabulous marketers and terrible coaches. And there are coaches that are incredible transformation providers who don't know how the fuck to sell themselves.
I said this to
me.
I tell Christina this all the time. And we watch certain ones in the marketplace, especially because we have conversations around some marketers who are fabulous marketers. Get in the program and it's a
Nothing.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a cluster.
I've probably spent in the last 5 years over 100,000 on programs that I didn't get anything out of.
Their customers love them, but they're not good marketers.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as good as the other one.
No.
And that's typically the best at what they do are a lot of times are very, very often not the best marketers.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I love about the Academy because we have vetted mentors, right? Like we're the main 3, but we're currently vetting and bringing on several others. We've got some in affiliate marketing, we've got some in legal, we've got some in websites and high level. Like we're currently bringing on more mentors. But you get a chance to meet everybody and talk to everybody and come to their trainings, come to their office hours. And if you choose to hire them for one-on-one, they will straight up tell you if that makes sense for you or not.
Yeah.
Right. So we've already vetted that these are people who know what they're doing, who care about their clients, who are going to treat you well. But there's still, it might not be right for you at this time to work with that person. So the Academy gives you a great chance to learn from and date experts and then decide if you want to invest more and do more with them later. Right. So those types of environments can be really helpful for you. I mean, the Academy is one that we've created and we really believe in, but there's lots of others out there where you can get a chance to get to know other coaches before you spend that money on them or other service providers. Because I mean, what they said is exactly true, right? Like I deliver transformation for people all of the time, but I am the worst person at telling people how good I am at doing it. You see Victoria's face just then. She's like, yes.
No notes, nothing to add.
Not saying anything.
Yeah, you can tell both my business partners have been pushing me to get out and do more content. So I'm going to. It's terrifying, right? It is terrifying. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter. It's terrifying. It's like the last thing I want to do in a day, but it's necessary, right? If you really truly want to change lives, it starts by making sure that people know you exist and know how you do it. Yeah.
And if you want to think about it, because a lot of the people who are like that, they're really heart-centered people and they really want to help people. Yep. And we have to realize that if you keep it at the forefront of your mind that I am here to help people, whether or not they buy from me or not, that's number one. Number two, is helping people worth you being afraid of potential trolls, which are coming, yeah. Do you fear being trolled more than you desire to help people?
I'll even throw a fun one at you because I've been really trying to figure out what my brain gremlins are. They're slowing me down. Fear of success, fear of succeeding seems like such a stupid thing. Like, why I'm striving for success. Why would I be afraid of it? I think it's the in the middle that's the most terrifying, right? It's not when you're like completely successful, right? Like our goal for the Academy by the end of the year, tell all your friends, is to get to like 100 people, right? That's what we want to do by the end of the year. The in-between is terrifying. Like I look forward to 100 people, but 30, 40, 50, where the wheels start to fall off just a scooch, right? Where we bring on more people at one time than we have in a long time, right? Like that's the scary part, the in the middle of success, where it's like right now I understand where we're at. It's comfortable. I know what we're doing. I have my routines, and that's going to have to change along the way before we get to the success that we're dreaming of. All right. So I think it's not just fear of trolls, fear of failure. I think a lot of times we're more comfortable with failure than we are with succeeding. It's the success is the unknown because we haven't done it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what campus is going to look like with 100, 150 students on it because we haven't done that yet. I don't know what tech challenges are going to come up. I don't know what support challenges are going to come up. I'm confident in our ability to solve them, but it's still a whole bunch of unknowns. And that could make it scary to put yourself out there. Like if people actually buy, then what?
Or people start saying, hey, I want to do, and it's like, oh, I don't want this. That's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I avoided social media for the longest time because I was like, and my thing with me, and I had that realization in another coaching environment that was my issue, and I'm like, this, and it's so subconscious, you don't even recognize it. So it's very hard to pinpoint that a lot of times. And Melanie brought it up too, that you don't know. It's unfamiliar.
Yeah.
It's unfamiliar. So it's like when you're in a toxic environment, relationship, or whatever, getting out is unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many of us
It's not that
sabotage
it's
our first good
comfortable where
relationship?
you are, but it's familiar. You know what to expect. You know that this is going to happen. You know this, and you can tiptoe around a situation. But going out, being on your own, starting over is scary because it's unfamiliar. No matter how much it frees you, it's unfamiliar. And that, I think it kind of ties back to that, the belief in themselves. Do you believe that you can do it? Do you believe
if
that you can handle it?
if we change self-care to self-love, and we think about it from the perspective of the only way my nervous system is going to get comfortable with all of those successes, right? The amount of money you make per month, the home that you live in, the people that you spend time with, the people on your team, right? I know there's a lot of us that are looking forward to having a driver. There's a lot of us that are looking forward to having a makeup team and a stylist, and I can just sit there playing on my phone while somebody else does this to me. But the one through line to get you there is to believe that you deserve it and to love yourself enough to make the new choices that will line up with this higher version of you, right? So the fear of success is because your nervous system says, I don't know what it's like to not worry about money. I don't know what it's like to have great relationships. I don't know what it's like to have great boundaries. So you have to start doing all of those things now so that we don't have to wait for the celebration, first of all, for when you do hit those $100,000 months or whatever it is that you want. Celebrate everything you have now, and then you'll be in the practice of making those choices that get you out into the great unknown. Right? If you just get really good at change and getting back on track, so to speak, you're great. You don't have to be consistent. You just have to be good at, getting the train back on the tracks. We derail. We go on side quests. That's okay. Stay close to the track. Get back on track when you're done with the side quest. Obviously, you needed that information, right? We know we love a good video game reference in our world. And that's really what it is. You can't get to every single level without these side quests.
Yep. Gather those items, gather the money, the things you need to help defeat the next boss that's coming. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I know something else that happens a lot, and we'll see this in relationships, we'll see this in business, is self-sabotage. Right. And a lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it. I did, when I first met my husband, I had been through so many toxic relationships that when I first met him, the dumb things that I did to this day, the only reason we're together is because he was a much more well-adjusted adult than I was. And he recognized what I was doing. And he's like, I love you. I know you love me. And I'm not going to let you sabotage this. It's okay. I've got you. I was like,
yeah,
dude, I'm sabotaging this.
Yes,
I am.
yes.
I am. Right. And this shows up in our businesses and stuff too. If we're afraid that something's going to happen, I have sold things to people and I'm afraid they're going to buy. I've literally told Victoria, somebody is probably about to hire me to do a website. I'm kind of terrified that I'm going to be doing a website for somebody, right? Because we're building some stuff in high level, and so I'm doing some more stuff myself right now that normally we would hand off and be like, Christina, don't touch that because it's going to go bad if you touch it. But we're trying to build some stuff out, so I'm touching it, right? And it's terrifying because I'm like, I get bored with it about halfway through. I've planned the whole thing out. We're at the boring phase, and something that should take a week or two is going to take a couple months. Okay, a couple years, right? I'm afraid to sell things because I know where my gremlins are going to pop up. And so I'm sabotaging myself before it's even happened. These are gremlins I can solve for.
Yeah.
I have amazing business partners. I have a mindset coach as a business partner, right? Like I should not fear mindset gremlins preventing me from doing the things, but I do. I hate how that happens. It's like, what are some other like self-sabotage? Melanie, pop up on a soapbox.
Yeah.
Remember that self-sabotage is your brain's way of being in control of the outcome. If you fuck it up, you know how it ends. I've been doing a lot of work, guys.
Yeah. I'm like, I have to let that one sit with me for just a second. Like, you know, it was a good one.
You said something last week too, on the same time, but you said it differently last week. So,
yeah.
I mean,
We
all want control.
Like a whole 15 seconds on that one.
We understand that we want control, right? The whole reason that we started our business was so that we were in control of when we worked and who we work with and how much money we make and all that, right? So it's understandable. It's rightfully so that you are trying to control the outcome. If you shift, instead of saying, I don't want to be in control anymore, I want to work on my control issues. Let's not do that because, if that worked, I wouldn't have 2 businesses. But what we want to work on is what you believe you deserve. If we can get you to understand that you are worthy of all of your desires right now as you are without making any changes, the only change that we have to make is that you believe you deserve it. You've put in the work. You are qualified for the things that you desire. You don't have to lose weight to start dressing the way you want to dress. You don't have to, you don't have to change your hair. Like you can be everything that you want to be right now as you are if you believe that you're worthy of it. So the only way to change what you believe you're worthy of is to treat yourself better.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with my kid yesterday. And, we've been talking about how he needed to raise his standard of self-care, right? Like the way you're caring for yourself is not good. When you don't make it down the stairs until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you haven't had anything to drink or eat until that late in the day, that you don't feel good. No. He's like, but my standard of self-care is different from yours. And I'm like, agreed. But is your standard of self-care equal at least to what you would wish for someone else? Right? Is your standard of self-care lower than how you even take care of your pets? Would you let your cat go until 5 o'clock with no food or water? Well, no. Why are you setting your self-care standard lower than how you treat your cat? And that was a big aha moment for him. And I was like, if I was treating myself the same way and you were watching me do that every day, would you approve that as adequate self-care? Would you say that's good for me? No, of course not. I'd be worried about you. Okay. Set your standard of self-care for your own human, at least at the level you would treat the other humans you care about and your pets, right? Like it's got to be at least that level.
Yeah.
That tells you what matters to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know why we look at ourselves. I don't know. Maybe Melanie needs another soapbox, but we look at ourselves and set our standards way lower for ourselves than we do for others. And it blows my mind.
There's this thing going around on TikTok called the Saint to Siren pipeline. And it's one creator in particular who's talking about it, of when you're with a man that you have to do everything for. And you're like, oh, this is my man. Sierra did this when she went from Future to the football player guy, right? You see this all over the place. Mm. And I actually don't think that that's the right term. I think it should be savior to siren, because as women, we are conditioned and programmed to believe that the only admirable traits for women are, she would give the shirt off her back to you. She would bend over backwards for you. I have a friend that I can call that would do anything for me. I literally once dropped everything I had to do for my business in a day to go drive to a friend at the time's house across town to take her and her cat, who was experiencing some health problem. This is a woman who was in her late 20s and has a car and a driver's license and a phone and a Google machine, okay? And I dropped everything for her to go to her house, pick up her and her cat because she was distraught, and then take them to an emergency bed over by my house. If anybody is familiar with Jacksonville, Florida, everything takes 30 minutes. It's big. It's a big city. It's spread out, okay?
Yeah.
And I dropped everything to spend the whole day taking care of her and this cat as a 30-something-year-old woman and a 28-year-old woman. That was expected of me in that relationship. I was expected to self-abandon to take care of my husband, my children, my friends, my coworkers, all of that. And it wasn't even self-sacrifice. It was self-abandonment. I will be okay if everybody in my life is okay. That's not the fucking case anymore, guys. You take care of yourself extraordinarily. And then other people around you that are meant to be in your life will hop on board and start taking better care of themselves, or they'll leave your life because they realize that they don't vibe with you anymore. It's too hard to be around you. If you're a complainer and you're somebody who doesn't want to take good care of yourself and you always want to blame all your problems on other people, you won't want to spend time with me. Because I'll just look at you like this while you're talking and be like, well, why don't you just solve the problem? Why don't you just take care of yourself? Why don't you just do that? And I know this now, but in the past 10 years, I didn't understand why I was going through so many friendships. But it's hard to be my friend if you're not willing to take care of yourself.
Yeah. I saw something that was talking about, especially with women, oxytocin. As we go through like perimenopause, oxytocin decreases. So like oxytocin's the cuddle hormone, right? It's what makes you want to care and love and like take care of everybody. And we wonder why like, the old ladies, the older women just don't give a fuck anymore.
No, right? Is that what's happening to me? Because I'm so sick of
like
now.
Almost every woman in like her 40s,
like
50s, 60s is just
like, you know what?
That's why we get demonized in menopause. That's why we get demonized in perimenopause and menopause. Because that's when we step into our absolute highest power. And that's when we serve everybody else less. So they demonized women who are in perimenopause or menopause as not being helpful and being old spinsters. Spinsters were actually just women who could make their own money spinning stuff into like yarn and shit like that. And they made enough money to take care of themselves. But we turned the term spinster into a negative.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of the shirt that I saw on TikTok the other day that was like, they didn't burn witches, they burned women. And it's like, yeah, dude.
Young women.
Yeah. It's like, because people are afraid of what we're capable of. They're afraid of what we're capable of.
I tell every single client of mine, if you knew your true power, you would not be worried about any of this.
No. Yeah. Now that for sure.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
wild.
It's another quote on that too. It's like you're afraid of, you're afraid of the power that's within you.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what we're saying is in different ways, that fear of what you can do and what you can accomplish in your true power is crippling.
Yeah, well, especially as you start wielding that power in business, right, where you're able to amplify it. Because in your personal life, you're going to impact a few people a year, right? Like a few people a year, maybe you give like a cashier a good day because you're not a dick or something like that, but you're having very minimal impact. In your business, that can ramp up to hundreds or thousands, right? Every student that we impact goes on to impact their clients and to impact more people in their lives. And when you it's kind of terrifying, right? Like I'm sitting here advising, this is like this mindset gremlin's coming out. I'm sitting here advising business owners on what to do, right? So like entrepreneurs, what to sell, how to sell it, who to sell it to. I'm designing their entire business along with them, helping them map all of that out. That's a big power to wield. That is a life-changing power to wield. Somebody who's broke, stressed, stuck in marriages that they don't want to be in, having the ability and the confidence to afford to leave, to go do these things. Like we've literally caused people to leave their jobs. We've caused people to leave their husbands. We've like,
hold on. We caused them to leave their terrible husbands.
Yeah. Toxic husbands, right? Like toxic husbands, realizing they were in unsupportive relationships because they saw what support looks like.
Yeah.
They saw what having someone cheer them on looks like.
Yep.
Right. And that is like, I'm not going to settle for less than that anymore. Right.
Yep.
These are big powers to wield, and it makes sense that it's scary to wield them. Like I actually saw like this morning, Kamala Harris doing an interview with, I think it's the the Black News Network or whatever, the like women, I forget what it is. I'm going to lose the word. Anyway, my brain won't give it to me. She was doing this interview and she's like, I realized when I was an attorney, the power of the microphone that I wield, right? That my words could change economies.
Yeah.
And when you wield that kind of power, you have to do so responsibly.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the fear, right? I know like we feel like we've gone all over the place. And for people who feel like we might have gone off topic, we really didn't, because like when we're talking about marketing not working, we're talking about not making enough money, we're talking about not being able to get enough clients, these things all come into play. Most of the reason you're not making enough money is you.
Yeah.
Most of the reason you can't get clients is you. Most of the reason your marketing isn't working is you. If your business isn't working, it's you. And I'm sorry to say that because it's the hardest thing to fix is you.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Right.
It all
and
comes.
I mean, that's just the truth.
And here's the thing. We've all dealt with it and we're still dealing with it to some degree.
Yeah. It doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. It just
gets easier and it doesn't put quite as big of a hitch in your giddy up. You know what I mean? Like you're going to stumble, but you're not going to fall.
Yeah.
You get better.
And you're not going to stay down as long.
Yeah, like before a little trip might have sent you down for 6 months, right? While you heal and recover. Now a little trip's like 6 hours and we're back at it tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like you just don't fall as hard or as long and stay down as long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And each level of elevation is going to come right back up. As my coach said, new level, new devil. The devil still shows up, but he just changes form and shape to say, you know what, now you've overcome this level. You get to this level, it's going to show up in a different way. And that's your opportunity to accomplish, you don't stay, like you said, you don't stay down as long and you're aware. This is this.
When you really shift to, you're not manifesting no problems. You never get a no problem life. On earth, you have problems. It's part of the school of earth. So instead of thinking, okay, well, I'll hire this coach when my life is easy. I'll pay for ads when everything is running smoothly, right? If you're waiting for things to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy before you make a change, everybody's going to surpass you.
Yeah.
It's going to have problems. It's going to have kinks. You're going to figure it out. That's the one thing you got to know. You're going to figure it out. You figured out everything that got put in your path thus far.
Yeah. You're not going to be happy every day either. Like so many people are like, not to discount depression and things like that. It exists. But there's a lot of people who think they're depressed when really they're burned out, or they think they're depressed because they're not happy every day. Right. So like the measure of not depressed is happy every day. We're not happy every day. Nobody's happy every day, just like you're not sad every day, every moment of every day. You're not happy every moment of every day, right? You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have problems. You're going to have celebrations. You're going to have wins. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have you're going to make good decisions. You're going to make bad decisions. Like without the bad, there is no good. Without the dark, there is no light. All those it is true. It is true, right? Like even as you're growing your business, this is something that, one of our mentors likes to talk about a lot is, you set this goal for yourself, right? You say, I want to have 10 clients or I want to have 100 clients, whatever your goal is, right? Whenever you get that, like you've got your, you move your scorecard of how we're doing on that progress from like red to yellow to, green, right? When you get to green, you've got your 100 clients, you raise the bar and you make it red again. All right, does that make sense? Like the goalpost moves.
The goalpost moves. Yeah.
The goalpost moves. So you're not trying to get to green. If you're green all the time, there's nothing to fix. Whenever we get to green and we're at green for a little while, we have to raise the bar and send ourselves back down to red and start working our way back up again.
Right. And for creators, it gets boring.
So it's very repetitious.
It's like
I've never played a game that resets the level and makes it a little harder. Yeah. And I like something you said earlier too, reaching a new level of elevation and, new level, new devil. But I like the metaphor of elevation specifically because if we think about going up in elevation, right, the air gets thinner, things change, right? Your body needs time to acclimate. If you go up a mountain halfway, your body needs time to acclimate. You're not even breathing right? You're struggling to even live at new elevations. We experience something similar when our business hits new levels, right? When you get where you hire your first people, you don't even know how to function anymore. You were functioning great. Now you hired an assistant and your whole world got thrown into wildness. And now you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing today. I thought I was doing this, but they had questions. So now I'm doing that. Right? All of your control just went gone. You hire your first manager, happens again.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have to deal, you're not talking to all the people anymore. You're dealing with your managers. Crap. Now what do we do? Right?
Yeah.
Now you have to learn how to breathe again.
Yeah.
You know, every new level in business, you have to learn how to breathe again. You have to acclimate to where you're at before you can keep going. And it takes time. It just takes time. Right?
Yeah.
So if your marketing isn't working, make sure you understand what working actually is. Make sure you know your metrics. Make sure you know your reality. Take a look at yourself and figure out what you're doing. Figure out what your mindset gremlins are. Figure out what's going on. Come join the academy and let's figure out what the real problem is and come up with a better way to solve it. Right? Because like you've got a lot of really smart mentors that can guide you, as you can see, in a lot of different directions to figure out what the problem is and to come up with a path on how to get through it. So head over, take advantage of the free trial, head over to neurospicyacademy.com, spend 2 weeks with us on campus. If you don't feel like you can move forward, cancel. We don't want you there if we can't help, right? So just cancel. Right. So come hang out with us. We'll see if we can get it fixed. And we will see you again next week. Oh, you guys have got to join us because we're going to be talking to the Qasim Islam. Like, I love him to pieces. It's going to be amazing getting to introduce you guys to, we talked about like hiring, leveling up your business. His new company, Pareto Talent, is doing just that, helping people get EAs. And he is one of the most brilliant people I've seen in supporting his staff, making sure he's onboarding correctly, setting up the job descriptions and the interview process the right way. So I'm really excited to share with you guys some of those things next week. So we will see you next week with Qasim for another episode of Wired Differently. Bye, guys.